Hello, this is Intuitive Anna Priscilla. Today I wanted to make a little video about how I got into charm reading and how you can get into it and what I love so much about it. To show you my little setup here. So I've been a cartomancy advocate for 40 years, started reading tarot when I was very young and moved on to other systems. I got into charm reading actually through Karin Dalton-Smith. She created a series of tea cards. So these were derived, she's a tea leaf reader from Australia, teacup reader, and these were derived from the traditional symbols that are found in the teacup. So she used the meanings, for example, if you saw a ring in a teacup, it would mean a marriage or a relationship. She used these traditional symbols and then expanded them so that they covered a little bit more of our modern life. So her decks were about 50 to 54 cards. So I bought the cards first, and then I bought a set of charms from her. So here we have the key card, and we have a little key, and I just fell in love with the little charms that went with all the cards. And I fell in love with like the 3D nature and the smallness of these symbols. It's all symbolic reading, so symbols come in many forms. So I started collecting the charms and got all the meanings from Karin, the traditional meanings for these tea symbols. So that started me off with my meanings and my charm set. I bought a set from her that corresponded to the cards. So that's one way, and I'll put Karin's details in the description box. That's one way you can get into charm reading, by getting into a set system. And that works very well. It gives you a structure. Now, being in the cartomancy community, I also saw at that time that traditional Lenormand readers were putting together sets of 36 charms. So here we had the ship, and we have the anchor and the mountain, and these were becoming available for charm readers as well. So this is another system that if you want to get a ready-made system of charm reading and meaning, you can purchase a Lenormand set of charms, and they're available in different Etsy and different places. So I also chose these charms for myself. I created my own set and chose charms that meant something to me. So for example, for the ship, I chose a Viking ship because my grandfather was Danish, and so that also helps me tune into my ancestry. So that's another way that you can get into charm reading, by absorbing yourself in a set system. Now, alternatively, you may just start buying charms. You just might see charms you like and start collecting those. I have hundreds now, but this is just a few charms in my collection. And these I've, attributed my own meanings to. So here's the wishing well, which, most people understand. There's a little sheep. There's a food mixer. There's also a squirrel here. Even an astronaut. That I have my own meaning for. Little nests. There's some beautiful charms, and obviously you can get quite addicted to this, my little gnome. You can also add dice for timing. I also have some small tarot tiles that I'll throw in also if I want another little card reading without using cards. So then you can also find a container, like I have this teacup that I keep my charms in. You can put them in a bag. I also have a bag, so I can pull charms from. So there's lots of different ways you can play with your charms. So once I started collecting charms, I had pretty much meanings from the Lenormand and from Karin's system. Once I started collecting charms, I started making my own charm dictionary. So I bought a notebook and started listing here like what I thought the charms meant for me. So I have Medusa, mermaid, mushroom, man, mountain, mask, moon, mice. Some of these are traditional symbols, but I also put my own meanings for them. For example, the moon could mean something different to you. It could be, for me, when I watched the first moon landing with my dad, when I was a small girl. There's all kinds of meanings that come up for you once you start meditating with your charms. So once you get all these charms, the question is, what do you do with them? How do you read them? So there's many ways. This most simple way is to actually just like draw a circle. Traditionally, they would be thrown in a circle. So I drew a circle on this piece of paper. I put my directions in. Actually, they should be turned around the other way. So we have north, south, east, west. I also put like an area for past, future. So if they fell out there, that meant something. I had hopes and fears, and then hopes and fears down here. So I had my own. I created just a little circular casting sheet. You can also use a doily, which I did. So I had this from my grandmother, and I just throw a few charms on there, and then read. If something lands like over here outside of it, then I don't read that. So this created a little area for me to read from. And then as I got further along, if you do buy charms from Karin, she will give you downloads for these casting sheets, which are wonderful because they already have little questions, like a tarot card reading. So for example, if you just wanted to know what is presently around me, you could pick a couple charms and put those in there and figure out. So here I have a sheep and a gnome. Figure out what that means. Or you could do a casting. You can do a casting and see where they land. So there's all kinds of possibilities with casting sheets. One of my favorite, and which I think is the mother of all casting sheets, is this casting sheet that I recently bought from Karin. This really has everything in it. So you can go as fancy as you want with charm casting. You can have a few charms. You can have 10 charms that just cover the main areas of life, or you can stick to one system. You can start collecting charms everywhere you go, like I do. There's just an endless source of fun. Also, the wonderful thing about them is you can carry them easily. For example, say you want to do a reading in public, you can just throw your charms. People don't really notice that. If you have your Lenormand or your tarot cards out, then they think you're kind of doing a bit of witchcraft or something, depending on where you live. So this is just my little introduction to you, showing you how I fell in love with charms and just all the different ways that you can use them. So thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and I'll be back with more.